Welcome to the Time to Lead series. Today I'm going to talk about whether you are a hedgehog, a fox, an eagle, or an ostrich. In other videos I have briefly talked about each of these different types of leaders. Now we are going to summarize that and allow you to assess for yourself what you are. And briefly, at the core of leadership is whether you have or not so much clarity about where you want to go to with your team, country, organization. So now we are talking about strategy, vision, ends. And second is whether you have a deep understanding about how to get there. That is tactics, operations, means. So essentially, if you have these two dimensions, you can cross-classify them, and we get four animal metaphors. These four animal metaphors that I discussed in these previous videos. Hedgehogs excel on vision, but are not so strong when it comes to tactical operations. Foxes, on the other hand, they are tactically very strong, but they can pursue many goals which are maybe unrelated with each other, may not always be that clear. Eagles combine a clear overarching vision with great short-term tactical flexibility, and ostriches, they are not so in such a good place. They lack a clear vision, and they also are low and deep understanding about the means that they have at their disposal. Now let's look at these four in a little bit more detail as a summary to understand these four leadership types. The hedgehog strengths are clear vision that motivates followers, a long-term view, and an ability to see the larger picture, this overall view, the forest. Weaknesses is that you can have a great vision where you want to go, but you still need to go there. And a hedgehog, is usually not so good in preparing for the roadblocks that you will find on your way to your end goal. There is also a danger of follower fatigue because hedgehog tends to very much rely on themselves as opposed to on their followers. They will ignore useful criticism, and people like to be involved, like to be heard. Hubris is another issue. The vision is grandiose. If you have some success there, you will run into the thing that you believe that you may become infallible. A major pitfall to keep in mind for the hedgehog is that lofty goals that you set can easily exceed the means at your disposal, because goals in principle are infinite and means definitely are finite. Where do we find them? You find them as entrepreneurs. You have to be really believing in your product, service, business model to have the stamina to push it through. Corporate turnaround managers and crisis leaders, the kind of people, where you have to have very clear directions where to go to and a clear view of that. Gurus also tend to be hedgehogs. Gurus are selling essentially simple solutions to complex problems. That is something that is very much hedgehog territory. The fox, a strength of the fox is that they take input from a wide range of followers, which means that you can get useful input from more people and hopefully leads to better decision making. They also can see roadblocks, complexities on the way to reaching a particular vision. So they may not see the forest so well, but they do see the individual trees. Weaknesses are because the fox doesn't have a very clear vision where to go to, it can leave followers confused. What are the marching orders? What are we trying to achieve? They can keep bogged down in details. Often fox leaders also struggle to achieve an enduring legacy because legacy as leaders is more built on vision than on tactical maneuvering. In fact, actually, fox leaders may easily confuse tactics with strategy. Major pitfall of fox leaders is strategic paralysis. If you anticipate every problem that you can find on your way, you will risk accomplishing nothing. most corporate managers, I think is fair to say, have more fox than hedgehog qualities. And also you'll find them a lot in international organizations where actually people are wary of leaders that have a very strong vision, because these international organizations, they work more with consensus, and that doesn't go so well with a hedgehog, but it certainly works well with a fox. For example, most leaders of the European Union can better be described as foxes than as hedgehogs. I'm now referring to the leaders in Brussels, not to the individual country leaders. The eagle has all the strengths of the hedgehog and the fox. The main weakness of the eagle is calcification of the mind. If you have a lot of success over time, what I have found in my work is that then people start sometimes to lose some of the tactical flexibility. Their mind becomes a little less elastic because of their success. They are starting to think more that they are so good that they know how to, not only where to go, but also how to get there. And a major pitfall for the eagle is that it constantly needs to balance acts and means. And that is a challenging thing to do over time, especially because ends and means will dynamically evolve, because the context evolves. Even if you have an overarching vision, you still have to adapt that to changing environmental circumstances. Where do we find them? Actually, most impactful leaders, most makers of history, whether they are in the corporate or the business or the non-profit world, many of them are eagles. So you find them disproportionately among the most impactful leaders in history. Ostriches, their main strength is that they're essentially threatening to nobody. They're going with the flow. So for most people, having ostriches around you is not particularly threatening. Ostriches have essentially all the weaknesses of the hedgehog and the fox, but the good thing is you can improve upon that. But if you do not improve upon that, there is a high certainty of leadership failure. Where do we find them? Many people start off as an ostrich, so you would find new and inexperienced leaders are often ostriches. You don't have to stay there, but you often start off like that until you get a better grip of the means at your disposal in leadership functions and also develop a vision. And large bureaucratic firms with high job security, you will find a lot of ostriches there, as well as in public organizations like universities or so. Now, what are you? Where are you in this grand scheme of things? For that, you can do the test yourself. Go to my website, there click on quiz, and there answer the questions truthfully, and it will give you the results and suggestions how to take it from there. And further reading, you will encounter these animal metaphors in great detail in my book, with a lot of examples, and how people also move from one type of leader to another type of leader. And especially interesting is how people move from ostriches to ultimately even becoming eagles. Thank you.